Hey folks, happy to have you here. Let's talk about that game tonight that happened. The Oilers' 5 game winning streak does not extend in Columbus as Columbus shocks the Oilers. Now, when it comes to Oilers losses, I enjoy thinking about these really weird reasons that they lose. And one of the reasons that has been discussed a lot with the Oilers in the past few years, and isn't just funny, but a very real thing that happens, is that the Oilers played down to their opponents. I don't think that's exactly what happened here today, um, but the Oilers did allow Columbus to play up to them, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's how I'll put it. The Oilers have actually done pretty good this year to not play down to their opponents. Um, but Columbus just has seemed to have our number in the last few years. Let's get into it. So the first period starts, and one of the talking points about the Oilers recently is that they aren't good in the first period. They're great in the second and third periods, but they just have not been good in the first period. They've had a lot of slow starts, and they conquered that talking point today. They had actually a pretty good start, but it was ruined by another talking point that I brought up in my big Oilers video, one of my first videos when I talked about all the Oilers games that I didn't do a review of. It should be first in my playlist for Oilers review of this year, where I talked about how it was kind of funny where the Oilers always seem to get goalied by either a backup goalie or a Russian goalie. And Columbus probably knew that because they started Danil Tarasov, a Russian backup goalie. And the Oilers had a lot of really good chances to start, and Tarasov made a lot of really good saves. Those saves did cause them to go out of position, so I felt, okay, well, as long as the Oilers keep this up and get a rebound, they should score. Doesn't quite happen because they're first deflated by a goal. Picard really should have had this saved. He did not. He allows a pretty stinky goal from Matthew Olivier, his third goal of the season, and is assisted by his line mates Corrali and Danforth. That was 6 minutes and 29 seconds into the first period. Not second period, not yet, because there's two other goals that come along. 2 minutes later, just over 2 minutes later, Edmonton gets a power play. Corrali gets penalized for delay of game. The power play gets a few things going, but Tarasov makes the saves needed. And then about 15 minutes into the first period, Columbus, I should put it this way, Werenski had the puck in his own zone. And he tries to do one of those stretch passes, which he's good at, but it missed the mark and it went through CC's stick. So it wasn't going to be icing. But CC was still the closest to the puck as it went behind the Edmonton net. So CC was going for it, and then he starts to slow down because he assumes that nobody's behind him. But there is somebody behind him. It's a Columbus player who beats CC to the puck, causing a turnover, and passes it back to Nylander. Sillinger beats CC to the puck, passes back to Nylander, who has an open shot at Picard, and scores. I don't think I'd blame Picard on that one because that's a pretty nasty, ugly turnover. And that wasn't the only one, but we'll get to that. So after that goal happens, you have your face off as usual, and Sam Carrick, he's like, okay, I want to announce my arrival to the team, to the Oilers, and get this train moving. Get some more energy into the Oilers. And so he drops the gloves and he fights Olivier. They both exchange quite a few punches. One of Carrick's punches managed to hit Olivier's helmet off. It was a really good bout. Olivier triumphed in the end, but still, great bout. It should pump energy into the Oilers. But it didn't. And if it did, it was killed because 27 seconds after that, playtime wise, Oilers turned it over, and Voronkov, who got the takeaway, very good Russian rookie I talked about in a previous video, scores. And it wasn't. He's a kind of a sniper, but I felt like Picard should have had that one. It goes through his armpit here. So, anyways, that's Voronkov's 17th goal, unassisted, unless you're counting the Oiler who passed it to him. I didn't get to see who passed it to him, but anyways, so it wasn't Cece. So Cece wasn't responsible for that one. Anyway, so that basically ends the period. Nothing too much of note happens. 3-0 to end the first period, and here's where I admit I wasn't able to watch the second period. I did follow along with it, and I was caught up by some friends because I had to leave for the second period to meet some family and missionaries for my dad and some missionaries for a meal. And then I came back for the third, and I had some friends catching me up on what happened. I had followed along what happened on my phone as well, because there was some good news. I forgot to mention shots were 11-10 in favor for Edmonton in the first. But yeah, so for the second period, I didn't miss too much, but I did miss some good news that happened early in the second period, where Zach Hyman scores his 43rd goal of the year, and he's assisted by Draisaitl and McDavid. And that is McDavid's 100th point. I am lisping. I don't have a lisp. I don't think I have a lisp. Anyways, that is McDavid's 100th point of the season. His 4th in a row and 7th in his career. Both just incredible marks. A lot of people ahead of him in quantity of 100-point seasons did it in years where scoring was higher than it is now. So just really incredible, but that wasn't the story of the night, unfortunately. Anyway, the second period kind of comes and goes. Outside of that goal, there's no penalty or goal to make note of. Third period comes along after Columbus had actually outshot Edmonton 13-10 in that period. Normally, Edmonton would make comeback. We're better than this. We're better than Columbus. They didn't prove it in that period either, besides the fact that they outscored Columbus, but they were still down. So third period comes, and Adam Henrique, he wasn't too noticeable today, but the one time he was of note is when he gave Columbus a power play for a high-sticking penalty 1 minute and 29 seconds into the third. That penalty is killed off, so we're back to even strength. And then kind of a scary event happens that could have easily led to an injury. As far as we know, there hasn't been an injury reported, but at 9:16 into the third, Perry's going for the puck near the boards, one of the corner boards, and Danforth stick trips Perry from behind. Like his stick gets into Perry's skate from behind, so Perry falls backward, and as he's doing that, a guy hits him. He was trying to hit Perry while he was up, so I don't blame the guy for hitting him when he was down, because that wasn't his intention. And his skate comes pretty close to Perry's face, so it was pretty dangerous. And Perry looked hurt, but he was able to get back up and play later. But it was a pretty dangerous play. Danforth, I don't know how he fell, but I know he fell. He did hurt himself. Or maybe I'm mixing guys up. I'm pretty sure it was Danforth. Anyways, Fogle comes over, and one of the Columbus players who was down, which I'm pretty sure was Danforth, but don't quote me, he pokes him while he was down, and Olivier comes over, and they start scrumming, and they both go off for unsportsmanlike conduct, but Danforth also went off for tripping, so it's an Edmonton power play. While they were going to the box, I had a laugh. Louis DeBrusque is usually pretty honest about stuff, so maybe he was being sarcastic here. He's like, I don't know what Fogle was doing there. And I'm like, yeah, you do. You know exactly what he was doing. You were one of those guys who done it. It was the smartest thing that Fogle did. Did Fogle need to do that? No, not at all. But you know what he was doing to DeBrusque. Anyways, so Edmonton's top power play unit comes out, and they get a lot of good opportunities, especially when it becomes a 5-on-3 after Boone Jenner goes off for slashing. So that's 50 seconds of 5-on-3. And yeah, and that top line of McDavid, Dry, Hyman, Nuge, and Bouchard get a lot of the great opportunities. The power play did everything right except for adapting to Tarasov, and that is part of play. Tarasov made all big saves. Full credit to him, but it felt like, okay, yes, it's working. Yes, you're beating Columbus's defense this way, but you gotta change something up. You gotta be creative. You got so many weapons there. You can do something else, which is what makes the power play so dangerous. Instead of just giving it to Dry or Hyman up front, Tarasov has made those saves. You could come up with something else. And yes, the reasoning is, well, as long as we keep at this, one of these is going to go through Tarasov. Yeah, probably. But you don't have that much kind of time. It's the third period. You're down by 2. You got to do something different. But eventually that line gets tired out, and they did do good. I'm not like slamming on them. I'm just a little disappointed that they couldn't score after all that. But I won't harp on them because the power play wasn't all for naught. Once the 5-on-3 ends and it becomes 5-on-4, the second unit is out, and it's Kane and Nurse assisting on a Corey Perry deflection, a very nice deflection. That is his 9th goal of the season, making it 3-2 after drawing one of the penalties earlier, and that was 12 minutes and 8 seconds into the third. So, okay, it's a 1-goal game. Awesome. We're back in this. Edmonton's made comebacks before. They made a comeback against Boston. They played so well against Boston, and just didn't work out. Columbus would score an empty netter with 20 seconds remaining. That was Roslovic's sixth. I swear I don't have a list. Maybe I do. But that was Roslovic's 6th goal of the season, assisted by Texier and Goodbranson. And that ends the game 4-2. One of my nitpicks of Knobloch is he seems to pull the goalie early. I feel like you should only pull the goalie not when the puck's in the opponent's zone, but when you've set up, which isn't always possible. And I get when time's running out, you can't wait to set up. You just got to get a guy out there. So that's okay. But I felt like you have McDavid, Hyman, and Nuge line, who's very good at setting up without having a 6th guy, especially when Bouchard and Ekholm are the defensive pairing. Maybe they were tired because they weren't out when they pulled the goalie. So there's lots of factors that goes into Knobloch's decision. It just feels like a lot of the time he pulls the goalie when we haven't set up in the offensive zone. And ideally, you've already set up. And I know that's not always realistic. So maybe I shouldn't knock on him too much. That was just my thought. Not a little disappointed. I'm quite disappointed in that loss. I have trouble with the phrase. Well, let's finish with the stats actually before I get to it. So final score, as I said, and as posted on the title, 4-2 Columbus. Shots 34-31 Columbus. And my opinion is, okay, well, if you don't beat the other team, at least outshoot them, which didn't happen. Though in terms of analytics, they did, because Edmonton's vast majority of the high danger shots were Edmonton's versus Columbus's, but Columbus didn't really need to get high danger opportunities to beat Picard. Though Picard did shut the door in the second and third, so good on him. He ended up having a good game. He ended up with a .909 save percentage, but he was part of the reason there was a hole to begin with. Anyways, so I figure, okay, well, if you're not going to beat the other team, if you're not going to outshoot the other team, at least out-hit the other team. Wasn't the case either, though it wasn't a big margin. Columbus out-hit Oilers 16-13, so by 3 hits. So anyway, it just feels like there got to be some kind of takeaway. Face-offs, though, I guess you can take away that. Edmonton won the majority of the face-offs, 54.7% of them. Power play, yeah, special teams were also in Oilers' favor. They were 1 for 3 and killed Columbus's lone power play. Great. Goaltending, Picard did end with a 30 saves out of 33 shots against. So, again, he did end up having a good game. As I said, that's a .909 save percentage. He had a great second and third period. So, credit to him there for being able to turn around mid-game and not become a what's the word, a reliability for the rest of the game. But he's not one of 3 stars because he's one of the reasons. As I said, Columbus had an early lead, but I'm not going to call it a bad game either because it ended up being a good game. Tarasov, he saved 29 of 31, and he was much better than that sounds. This might turn into a deeper rant, and I'm trying to save it for the end of the season because I have a plan to talk about this. But goals saved above expected can be overused and it can be underused. And if you're not talking about goals saved above expected with Tarasov's performance, you're underusing it. I believe the number. I don't always record it because I'm not like, I don't completely agree with the models, but I still like the models because they're still a good measure of quality. And Edmonton's, according to Money Puck, had an expected goals of over 5. I think it was 5.14. And Tarasov allowed only 2. Because, you know why? Not because Tarasov's good. He's a good goalie, but that's not why. It's because he's a backup and a Russian goalie. So as I said in my Oilers review in the beginning of the 2023-24 review playlist that I got going, ban Russian goalies. Stand with Ukraine or something, whatever. I don't care. Ban Russian goalies. Until the Oilers get one. But I don't think we will because Skinner's doing well. Anyways, 3 stars of the game. Hyman was the first one because he had a good goal. Played well. Perry, goal and a hit. Not too much notable play for him outside of drawing the penalty, but I don't think that was as much of Perry being a pest and drawing a penalty as much as Danforth being stupid with the stick. Not disrespecting him, he's still an NHL player, but it was kind of stupid. And 3rd star was Nugent Hopkins because I felt his play was pretty strong defensively today, as it has been. I'm going to do a Selke video soon, and he will be mentioned. So, yeah, it is pretty disappointing. It's one, there's a baseline amount of disappointment to lose, and there is a baseline disappointment of losing to a team you should beat. And I don't like the phrase of you should beat them because you never know. There's 82 games in a season. You play every team at least twice during the regular season. Chances are it's frankly impossible to win all 82. I guess it could happen, but we've never seen it happen. Even when the seasons were only 40 games, there wasn't a perfect season because it's so hard to win, especially now in the NHL. Columbus's roster may not be the most impressive. It may be one of the least impressive rosters, which it is in my opinion. And Edmonton may have a top 10 roster, which it does in my opinion. And some may argue top 5. I don't know. I'd have to look at it. But anyways, Columbus is still an NHL team. So they should still be capable of winning. And that's why I don't like using the phrase, you should beat the team. Because, yeah, probably, but the other team should be capable of winning. They're not going to go winless, right? So, but at the same time, it just feels like everything was clicking for Edmonton. And it takes a step back against Columbus. I don't think this is going to be like a trend. Like, I don't think this should be a worrying point for the Oilers, because unless we lose to Buffalo and Pittsburgh, but maybe we can blame those on those being early in the morning. Well, it's not early, but early in the morning by hockey standards. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to watch the game Sunday because of church. We'll see. I might even miss Saturday game due to other events. I'll try my best, and if not, I'll still have a review. I'll watch the highlights, do everything I can to educate myself on it and still give my thoughts. But I did watch this game, even if I missed the second period. But there's no denying the disappointment. But at the same time, I pride myself on being positive, something that most people in hockey don't do. There's a reason I don't listen to 630 Ched after an Oilers loss, because well, sometimes I do, but because I don't think they do it right. They overreact a lot. With all due respect to a lot of the guys there, I like a lot of the guys there, 6:30 Ched is the radio here in for the Edmonton Oilers radio, if you don't know. But I like to be positive. The fact is, Oilers are 5-1 in their last 6. It doesn't matter who they beat in those 5. It doesn't matter who they lost to that 1. They are 5-1. Yeah, if you were betting, you'd probably expect the Oilers to extend the streak against Columbus. You're probably right. But statistically, it's not likely that a team has a 6-win streak, and it just happened to end to a team that isn't that good. So the positive side is the Edmonton Oilers are not losing their playoff spot because they lost to Columbus. They're not a bad team because they lost to Columbus. They just dug themselves into a hole from some stupid mistakes, and I have full expectations that they'll be right back at it. Buffalo has their own strengths as well, but I think Oilers should make a good game out of that. Anyways, that's it for this a bit longer review than anticipated. I have lots of research to do for the deadline video that'll probably come out Saturday. I'm also going to rant about something off topic because it's near and dear to me, and yeah. And I'll do a little short on the Gensel trade that happened during the course of the game. Anyways, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching and staying this long. Even if you're just using me as white noise, I say that all the time. I'm okay with that. I use other people as white noise, so it's only fair. Maybe I'm the best white noise machine there is. I'm okay with that. I'll take that as a compliment happily. Anyways, like I said, please leave a like if you think I've earned it. Share your thoughts. I'd be happy to hear them. And subscribing would also be awesome. Turning on notifications means you will be notified every time I put out a video, which I think is a good deal because I think all my videos are quality. It'd be nice if I could show highlights and all that kind of stuff, but I don't have copyright stuff. But anyways, thank you again, and I'll see you when I see you.